It was an ordinary morning in the small town of Willow Creek, nestled deep in the Appalachian Mountains. 17-year-old Sarah Whitaker, bright-eyed and full of dreams, left her home for school like any other day, but that morning she never arrived. She vanished without a trace, sending her quiet town and her heartbroken family into a spiral of confusion, fear, and grief. For 10 long years, her case went cold. But then, a stranger living over 700 miles away was watching a late-night episode of a true crime series when a face on the screen made his heart stop. He picked up the phone, unaware that his decision would unravel one of the most chilling and emotional stories of the decade. Chapter 1: The Girl Who Loved Sunflowers. Sarah Whitaker was the kind of teenager who seemed to glow from the inside out. She had an infectious laugh, a deep love for sunflowers, and dreams of becoming a vet. Her relationship with her family was close-knit, particularly with her younger brother, Noah, who was just 9 at the time. On the morning of May 14th, Sarah left home wearing her favorite denim jacket and sunflower earrings, walking toward the high school she'd attended for nearly 4 years. She never made it. Her parents called the school when she didn't return by 4 p.m. Panic quickly spread as the school confirmed she hadn't attended a single class. Police were alerted. Search parties were formed. Flyers were stapled to every tree and telephone pole in Willow Creek, but days turned to weeks, then months, then years. Chapter 2: A community shattered. The town of Willow Creek wasn't the kind of place where things like this happened. People left their doors unlocked. Neighbors waved to each other every morning, and teens still rode their bikes through back alleys in the evenings. But after Sarah disappeared, a quiet darkness settled over the town. Fear replaced trust. Mothers clutched their children closer, and the Whitaker family became a symbol of unimaginable loss. Sarah's father, Tom Whitaker, never stopped searching. He quit his job to dedicate himself to the investigation. He followed up on every lead, hired private investigators, and appeared on every local news channel he could. "I don't care if it takes a lifetime," he would say. "We're going to find her." Chapter 3: The trail goes cold. Despite their efforts, the investigation yielded no results. There was no physical evidence, no known suspects, no clear motive. It was as if Sarah had simply vanished into thin air. The police pursued several theories. Runaway. Maybe she left voluntarily, though her personality and plans argued against it. Abduction. But there were no witnesses or surveillance. Family involvement. Ruled out after thorough investigations. After 2 years, the local police officially labeled the case as cold. Tom and his wife Ellen were devastated. The silence was worse than any answer. Even a tragic ending would offer closure. But this was torment in its purest form. Chapter 4: 10 years later. The stranger fasts forward to 10 years later. In a small town in Indiana, a man named Mark Delaney, a retired truck driver, sat on his recliner watching a rerun of a national true crime show called Vanished Without a Trace. It was episode 317, The Disappearance of Sarah Whitaker. As soon as Sarah's photo appeared on the screen, Mark paused his remote. He leaned forward. "I've seen her," he muttered. For the past few months, Mark had been volunteering at a local food pantry. He remembered a quiet young woman who came in often, always alone, always nervous. She worked odd jobs around town, lived off the grid, and went by the name Lena. He picked up the phone and called the national tip line. Chapter 5: The Reopened Case. When the Whitakers got the call, they dared not hope. Too many leads had gone nowhere. But when authorities from both Indiana and West Virginia got involved, they quickly discovered that Lena had no social security number, no paper trail, and lived in a small camper in the woods. They brought her in for questioning. DNA confirmed it. She was Sarah Whitaker. 10 years after disappearing, she had been found alive. Chapter 6: The Truth Behind the Vanishing. The story Sarah told shook everyone who heard it. On the morning she disappeared, Sarah had been followed by a man she'd seen once or twice around town. He lured her into his truck under the pretense of returning a dropped item, then knocked her unconscious. For the next year, Sarah was held captive. When her abductor finally left her alone long enough to escape, she did. But she had no idea where she was, and no belief that anyone could find her. Afraid he would come back, she changed her name, location, and erased her past. She lived on the margins of society, scarred but surviving. Chapter 7: The Family Reunion. When Sarah walked into her family home for the first time in a decade, it was as though time stopped. Her brother, now a grown man, broke down in tears. Her mother could hardly breathe. Her father, ever the optimist, whispered through sobs, "I knew you were alive. I never stopped believing." The town of Willow Creek, once shrouded in grief, lit candles in her honor. A welcome back vigil was held, and thousands attended. For the first time in years, the town smiled again. Chapter 8: Healing and Justice, with Sarah's testimony and DNA evidence from her time in captivity. Law enforcement tracked down her captor. He had moved under a new name, but justice caught up to him. The trial was swift, and he was sentenced to life without parole. Sarah began therapy, slowly reconnecting with her family and speaking out for survivors of abduction and trauma. She started a small foundation in her name to help other missing people. Chapter 9: The Stranger Who Changed Everything. Mark Delaney, the man who made the call, met the Whitaker family months later. They hugged him as if he were family. Tom called him an angel. When asked why he made the call, Mark simply said, "Because if it were my daughter, I'd want someone to do the same." Conclusion: a story of hope. Sarah Whitaker's story isn't just one of survival. It's a testament to the power of hope, the persistence of love, and the miracles that can happen when strangers decide to care. Sometimes the past stays buried, but sometimes it takes just one person paying attention to bring someone home. Chapter 10: The Trial of a Monster. The courtroom was tense as Sarah took the stand. Her hands trembled, but her voice never broke. She described the small, dim basement where she had been kept, the mental games her captor played, and the moments when she almost gave up. She wasn't just telling her story. She was exposing a monster. The defense tried to paint a different picture, claiming mental illness and a troubled past for the accused. But the jury wasn't swayed. It took only 4 hours to find him guilty on all counts: kidnapping, assault, unlawful imprisonment. He received multiple life sentences. Sarah finally felt a door close. Chapter 11: Media Frenzy and Public Attention. Once the story broke, media outlets swarmed Willow Creek. National TV shows, podcasts, true crime YouTubers. Everyone wanted an interview, but Sarah refused most of them. She gave only one sit-down interview to a journalist she trusted, hoping her story could inspire other survivors. Viewers across the world cried as she detailed her survival. Donations flooded into her foundation. She became a symbol of strength. Despite the spotlight, Sarah remained grounded. "I'm not brave," she said in the interview. "I was just trying to live." Chapter 12: A Town Transformed. Willow Creek Changed Forever. What once was a sleepy town became a place people looked to for hope. A park was named in Sarah's honor. A new community initiative was started to improve safety and mental health awareness. Missing persons protocols were updated across several counties. Noah, now a young adult, became a community counselor, inspired by what his sister endured. The town, scarred but healing, had found new purpose. Chapter 13: The Foundation's first mission. Sarah's foundation, called the Light Project, launched quietly 6 months after her return. Its goal: to aid families of missing persons, provide counseling, and train volunteers in emergency search tactics. Their first mission was to help the family of a missing 14-year-old girl from a nearby town. Sarah met with the girl's parents, coordinated local searches, and offered support where law enforcement fell short. While the girl was eventually found safe, having run away due to abuse at home, the impact of the foundation was undeniable. They filled the gaps left behind by overwhelmed systems. Sarah knew she couldn't save everyone, but she could make sure no one felt as alone as she once had.